Hello and welcome to Happiness and Wellness. My name is Geeta Arora. Have you ever wondered how to get more energy? Well, we're going to talk about how to get energy through meditation with my co-host Nita Ganapathi. There's all kinds of meditation out there. And have you ever wondered what kind might be good for you? But more so, getting energy is something that we all want. And typically we move towards food, some kind of something to put into your system, to your body, so that you can feel better right away. But maybe you've never heard of the concept of maybe meditating to get more energy. So that's what we want to talk about today. So Nita,
yes,
welcome.
Well, thank you, Geeta.
Thank you.
I think for people like you and me in our business of yoga and Ayurveda, meditation is a very, very common phenomenon. But most people out there get scared by the word. They think it's very complicated, and they have to really spend a lot of time and energy understanding it. So I was thinking maybe we can, talk about what exactly is meditation.
Yeah, meditation. I love the explanation by Baba Haridas, and I did my yoga teacher training up at Mount Madonna. And it's a community, a yoga community, and the Baba Haridas is the leading person there. He's in his 90s now, but he's a yogi, and a true yogi from India. And the way he explained in meditation was that it's like the windshields of your mind.
Right.
If you take the time out to sit down and practice and be quiet and quieten your mind from all the sensory noise, getting excited about things. When you look around, you're typically wanting to do something. You want to eat something, you want to smell something or touch something, taste something. So your senses are always overworked. So when you come to meditation, it's a great place to just hone into your own who you are and start to look at the inner self.
Right.
And the crazy sounds that you make inside your head.
Yeah. In fact, it reminded me of something I read somewhere. It was hilarious because we know that, even in a busy, lifestyle that we have in the Bay Area, it's recommended that we do at least 15 to 20 minutes of meditations every day, unless you are really busy, in which case you must do at least an hour. So, so then, how do you slip, even on a busiest of busy schedules, how do you slip meditation into a regular routine?
Well, I have to, that's really a great question, because, when I started to meditate, and I was in my 20s, and we would go for meditation, and I would sit there, and as soon as the teacher said, close your eyes, I would open one eye to look at what time is it, when's this going to be over?
Yeah.
Let me run. But over the course of the years, I've found that it really is a practice. And when we start to get so many thoughts in our heads of maybe something's not working out in your life, in my own personal life, this has happened. Things were going in ways that I didn't want it to, and I didn't know how to even get out of that pattern.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, you just become used to a way of being after a while. And then everything becomes normal. The yelling, the screaming, the relationship, however it's going, it just becomes like part of your daily life. So what meditation did for me is I learned how to meditate. I forced myself to sit down daily, and now I meditate at least an hour.
Right.
Because as Paramahansa Yogananda, as one of the great teachers, he says, you've got to take out at least 1 hour to connect with God.
Right.
You have to take the time out, because at the end, all of this in the world doesn't matter.
Right.
That you are in a place that, we're just running after toys and material things, but there's a journey, the soul journey, that we connect with. And when we connect to that place, you really can have anything you want. And it's that conversation about expanding time.
Yes.
I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. That's just the thing. So to get more energy, you have to sit down and start to create time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and you know, many people come to me with this question. They say that I'm not good at meditation. I just can't do it. And they say, and I ask them, what do you mean by that? And they say, if I sit down, there's just, you know, it's like thoughts are like popcorns in my head. It's just popping all the time.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not good at it. And you know, I try to explain to them, it's not a question of you cannot fail in meditation. It is what it is. The very process is bringing awareness to that popcorn happening in your
Mhm.
head, popping in
Mhm.
your head. So, what's your, you know, how do you see this? You know,
That's a
when
great
people,
analogy. You know,
right,
it is like pop with all the thoughts, right? And it's in multi-dimensional layers. So you
right,
can't even say it's just this thought. So in meditation, what the way we've been taught is that if you practice it every day, you sit there quietly and you start focusing on your breathing, you start focusing on clearing your mind. There are particular ways of meditating that will help you to get to where you need to. But those thoughts, you start to notice those popcorns, it's less and less and less,
right,
because then you're not, you see all the noise, you can
right,
watch it, you become the observer, and you start to see what your head is doing inside. So in a nutshell, meditation is taking the five senses and turning them inwards,
right, withdrawing it,
withdrawing your senses
right,
inwards. So
right,
now you are connecting to that space inside of who you truly are.
right.
And what is your journey? What do you want to do? Where are you going? And that's the practice, you know?
Yeah, and then the other thing that I think people might be interested to know is what are the different kinds of meditation? You know, we have heard about the chanting meditation. You pick
Mhm.
up a different, you know, a word that has a special significance, either in your religion or otherwise, an inspirational, and you keep chanting that mentally, or you bring awareness to your breath. A very popular meditation is the Vipassana, where you go for 10 days and all you do is bring awareness to your breath and you don't
Mhm.
speak to anybody. There's no communication. And finally, of course, there's the one where you sit in silence and you just watch thoughts cross through your mind like clouds on a sky. But do you practice all of them, some of them?
Mhm.
What is your style of meditation?
Well, the way I've learned it is, and the one that made the most sense to me was when I started learning it with Baba Haridas' style. And basically, what we do is we go through these four purifications of breathing. And what it starts doing is when you wake up in the morning, your focus is now on your breath.
Right.
And you're just come out of the subconscious state. Your mind has just been in that subconscious realm sleep.
Yeah.
And that's why sleep is so important. People don't even sleep now.
Yeah.
So how do you meditate in the morning if you haven't, you know, it's like a vicious cycle. So when I wake up, the first thing I do is at 5 o'clock, hit my, I have my place
Meditation
to,
mat.
yeah, I got to, however it is, just get there.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes, just get there. And the first thing I do is I just start to breathe and focus in on where my head is, where my mind is, and allow, when I can't find anything, what I say to myself is I go into that God space and I say, God, my beloved, where are you? Connect with me. Come to me, because you are all I have and you are all I know. And in that, something starts shifting, you know,
Right.
my breath, my energy, my mind, everything starts to come to focus. And with that, I start doing the alternate nostril breathing.
Right.
And alternate nostril breathing is really important because it balances the left and right side of the brain. So you're not only just now, you know, putting your thoughts into a space, but you're connecting it to this physical body.
Right.
And that's the point of it. You want your mind and your body in sync. That's meditation.
Yes.
And what the goal of meditation, like in yoga, it's yogas chitta vritti nirodha. That's the second verse, the sutra in the Patanjali.
Patanjali.
So basically what it's saying is that when all thought waves cease to exist, like there's nothing in the head now, no popcorns, that's when yoga begins.
Yes.
That's when your mind is now in a place that you can connect to that divine consciousness.
Yes, I think
And
it helps you to sort of bring some space and you don't identify with your problems or whatever the thought process that is distracting you or upsetting you, and it's a process to remove yourself, the bringing the distance between the thinker and the thoughts. That's probably, to me that makes sense, where I step back and I come into my witness self, where I witness all my thoughts. And it's like clouds. Like I said, to me a very popular analogy would be, my mind is the sky and the thoughts are the clouds, and you don't have to get attached to any one of those thoughts. They just pass and you watch it. So to me that brings about a certain separation from my problem or whatever it is that is bothering me. So do you think meditation, what are the studies that have been done around meditation? What does it help? You and I know, we don't have to question it, but somebody who's coming into this for the first time, how does it benefit?
Yeah, there's been lots of research now being done around how meditation works, but the actual practice of it is going to give you what you need to know.
Right.
You cannot read it in a book.
Exactly.
You cannot do research like, let me compare this to this.
Yes.
It's really your own experience. That's what meditation is.
Yes.
And that's the meditation is part of yoga.
Yes.
It's like, it's one of those things that when you quieten the mind and you are now able to move into that space. So you had asked me earlier what I do in my yoga practice or my meditation practice in the morning. So I do the 4 different types of breathing practices. And then by the time I'm done with the 4th one, my body is now in a place where it's aligning. The breath is now flowing. And the yogic breath is basically, that one I can show you, is when you're breathing, what you do is you breathe in through both the nostrils and the breath comes into the belly. You're expanding the belly. And when you breathe in and you're expanding the belly, and then you exhale it out. And then that's the first step to it. Then the second one, because if people are not used to it, they don't understand it.
Yeah.
The second is you can check in by doing just chest breathing.
Yeah.
So just breathing into the chest.
Shallow breaths.
Yeah. Or just breathing in the upper respiratory area. And you can see what the difference is between the belly breath and the chest breath.
Right.
Then the yogic breath is the breath that you breathe into the belly. And as you're breathing in, you're expanding out the chest as well, the second part of it. And then you exhale.
Right.
So it's like 2 for 1.
Yeah.
You're doing all of it at the same time. So when you start doing that, the breath starts flowing to the bottom of the diaphragm, everywhere. Right. And now your mind is so calm and focused that you are in sync. Everything is flowing in sync. And that's where you get to meet God.
Yes. In fact, it's interesting that you say that, because when I teach some youngsters or people who are new to yoga and breathing, and I say breathe into your problem or breathe into your pain, wherever that may be, in your lower back, knee, and they look at me with this puzzled look and said, how can I breathe into the knees? And I'm like, it's just setting an intention. When you visualize that the breath is going to the knees, that's all that you need to do. You don't physiologically take the breath to the knees. And that's, the breathing is such a important part of this meditation process, especially in the beginning, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's really great, because when you do have a visualization, the prana, the body, it already knows how to move the energy through the system.
Yeah.
So when you're saying focus on the knees, say somebody has knee issues or whatever, and maybe the way the body is, the energy is flowing through the body, there's stagnancy. That's what is acupuncture?
Yeah.
Acupuncture is opening up those energy channels.
Exactly.
Such as in Ayurveda, we work with the marma points, called the acupressure points, with our oils and mantras. And something else you had asked earlier about the different kinds of chanting and the kinds of meditation there are. I think it's really true for whatever a person feels. It's best for them to use what they feel is best for them.
Right.
Mantras are given by a guru. Nowadays, people just chant all kinds of things, whatever they've latest mantra they picked up. But typically in the old days, it was based on a mantra a guru gave you. And then the mantra, the word man is your mind. I mean, your inner being, your man, your heart, your hriday. And tra is like protection. So it's the protection of your being. Mantra is a protection of who you are, protection of your being. So when you recite this mantra, that your guru, and guru, the Sanskrit word means remover of darkness. So these Sanskrit words in our Western society, we use it a lot, and I'm so happy that we do use it now.
Exactly.
So many
it's become part of common parlance.
Yeah, but if we can understand the meaning behind it, then it gives us more of a way of incorporating into our daily lives, you know. And if you don't have a guru, it's okay. There are different kinds of mantras that are for
And different
prayer,
yeah, meditation
for
also without
wisdom.
mantras. You can do breath-based meditation.
Absolutely.
But that brings me to another question that most people ask is how many times a day you should meditate, and what are the ideal times to meditate?
The ideal time to meditate is early in the morning. That's number one.
Yeah.
If you don't have time, the second time is before you go to bed. And if you can, do it in the morning and do it right before you go to bed as well. But if you don't have so much time, you know, morning is very important. So go to bed early.
Yeah.
If it means, you know, you can't wake up early, don't have time, you have to make the time, because the
Right.
time will not just come to you. It's like, you know, when you want something, you have to go to the person. If you want to buy a car, you have to go to the dealership. Dealership's not going to come to you.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You know, we want so much from God, but we don't want to go there. And again, you know, the other thing is that some people think it's a very religious thing.
Right.
This is not about religion. This is
No.
about the human journey. It's about the human spirit, which we all have, no matter what religion. Religion
Yeah.
is a form of understanding a direction to the pathway to God. All different religions, it leads you to the same place.
Yeah.
It's just a different conversation we're having.
Yeah, but having said that, I know that it can be quite challenging when you have a lot of responsibilities to find that, to get up and be on your meditation mat by 5 o'clock. Not everybody has your discipline. So I realized that one way I can sneak meditation into my routine is when I am traveling somewhere, I intend to reach there at least 5 minutes before I park in the parking lot. And then, I have that 5-minute window where nobody is expecting me and nobody can reach me. And I use that, even if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever I can afford at that point. I would much rather do that than say, oh, I don't have half an hour. I didn't do it at 5 in the morning. I'm not going to do it at all.
Okay, to all the procrastinators, they have to listen to this.
I think that has helped me because, I used to be a regular meditator, and then I fell off the, wagon and never could get back on. Life happens. And so my advice to people is just sneak it in. Get in 5 minutes. If you can do 15 minutes, do 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you can always try 5 minutes. You can do it 5 in the morning, do 5 in the evening. Find a
Absolutely.
time, and then automatically if you do it and follow it for a period of, let's say 21 days or 40 days, these are very important numbers, because studies have shown that if you stick with something for 21 days or 40 days, you're more likely to stick with it.
Yeah.
And then once you see the relief and the peace that you get, I think you get you don't need any persuasion why you should be doing it.
Yeah. Something that I do want to share is that the reason why we meditate in the morning is because you have just woken up from visiting your subconscious mind. You don't really visit your subconscious mind in the middle of the day after some work is done, or you're busy at work, or your boss has just told you something you didn't like and now you're angry and you're sitting there trying to meditate. Well, it's a little difficult then. But when you set yourself up, your body, your foundation, it's like setting the foundation. It's like having breakfast every morning, or it's like going to bed. Just make it part of the routine, or like brushing your teeth in the morning.
Right.
It's just part of the routine that you must do it in the morning. If you try to do it at any other time of the day, it's okay to sneak it in. Like you said, not everybody does it, but the intention, just starting creating that intention, it will happen at some point.
Right.
And I have to be honest. I mean, there has been times in my life where things have been so rough that I was not able to get up at that time. But I didn't forget it. I always kept reminding myself that I must do it, because something happens whenever you meditate. The day looks brighter.
Yeah.
Even the people you meet look happier.
Yeah. And also I think it helps you to sort of respond to situation as opposed to reacting, because you have trained your mind to step back from possibly annoying or irritating or situation or a stimuli. And if you train your mind to step back, when things like that happen at workplace or with your at home with kids, with spouses, you're able to take that step back, take a deep breath, and able to respond to a situation more calmly, I think.
Yes,
but having said that, what do you think is a good age to start meditating?
Oh, children are beautiful. When you teach them meditation, it is amazing to see what they do. They're better than adults.
Yeah.
We were like that once too.
Yeah.
You sit down, we teach the children how to meditate, and they close their eyes and they'll visualize things and they'll just sit there quietly it's amazing to see children
Yeah.
meditating. I think they get it much
And
much
I
more
think,
than we do
looking at all
as
the
adults.
stress that kids go through school, high school, and then going on to universities, I think it's easy. It's good to start them early.
Yes.
Somewhere I read a rule that, until you're 20 years old, you do like a meditation. Suppose you're 5 years old, you do 5 minutes, and you're 7 years, you do 7 minutes, and you keep adding a year every year till you reach 20, and thereon you just do 20 minutes a day. If you can do 20 minutes a day, twice a day, all the more power to you.
Right, right.
So,
When I used to meditate, my daughter was like 2 or 3. Every time I would meditate, and it was so early, I would think she's still sleeping, and then she started knowing that I was sleeping. So
Right.
as I'm sitting in my position, she would come and sit in my lap. And in the beginning, it was just really, I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know what to do. She's my child, but I
Yeah.
want to meditate. But, pretty soon she started to learn, and she started to, she
Meditate.
wouldn't sit there. But what she would do is she started bringing a blanket, because I told her, I said, look, mommy has to meditate in a certain way. My body needs to be still, and I want to be in my place. So she started understanding it. So she started bringing her pillow and blanket
Oh,
and
sweet.
laying down next to
Yeah.
me, or she would put her head on my lap or something.
Right.
So it was really sweet. I mean, and I think it's also setting an example for kids. But once kids get it, and the other thing is why it's so important is because children at that time, it's a kapha time of life. Their brain is developing. They are remembering things. And if they get it at that time, they will never forget it.
It's a lifelong practice.
Yes, life will happen to them, and they may not do it, but the seeds are planted.
Right.
And they can always come back to it.
Yeah. And then what would you advise people who travel a lot? How do they maintain their meditation practice?
Oh, I tell them, meditate anywhere, everywhere. Anytime, even if you're sitting at the airport and you're...
It's a wonderful place, actually. I use the time spent at airports inside the aircraft because, sometimes you're frustrated or there's, delays, and that's a perfect time to use up your otherwise, wasted moments.
Yes, one of my teachers, she told me, and people say it's too noisy, I can't concentrate. But one of my teachers, she had taught me that when you hear noise outside, like at the moment you sit down to meditate, there's a construction worker going, or the guy blowing the leaves with his blower,
Yes.
And I learned, before it used to just annoy me so much. And then I learned, I saw my friend, she was meditating, and she's so good. And she told me, she says, oh no, she goes, it's such a blessing, because you start to look at it like the more noise there is outside, the better opportunity you have to work on yourself.
Exactly.
That you're tuning in.
And what helps me is a little mental suggestion that I tell myself that every noise is going to get me deeper and deeper. And these auto suggestions work like clockwork. And then, you just use auto suggestion to not get irritated. And you say that every time there is a noise, it reminds me to go deeper inside and not to sort of let the outside external world worry
that
me.
auto suggestion, that word is so amazing, because it is just that. It's like we're disciplining our minds to behave a particular way.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's like a monkey mind. If you don't discipline the monkey, it's going to get you in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every time. And so it's like if you get the monkey disciplined, the monkey mind, and then you can do whatever you need to, because now the intellect has stepped in.
Yeah.
And I know in the Western society, the mind, intellect, isn't that the same thing? I get asked a lot, isn't the mind and the intellect the exact same thing? Well, it's not, because the mind is geared with the five senses. So whatever the five senses do, the mind reacts, and then it's like a snowball effect.
Right.
But with the intellect, when you have control over your mind, then you have your discriminatory powers kick in, and now you know what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad. It's a yes or a no very clearly.
Yeah.
And decision making becomes clearer. Clarity is there. It's
in fact, when most people are on the fence and they don't know whether they should meditate, and we have this discussion, the one thing I tell them that works in most cases is you think of the body as a vehicle, and you think of the mind as the driver. Most of the time, the driver should be driving the vehicle, the car. But if you don't train your mind, which is the driver, the car takes you wherever it wants to go, and that is not an ideal situation. So, to be able to control your mind, which in turn would be able to do whatever you want it to do.
maybe you should tell that to the self-driving car manufacturers.
Exactly. That would be something. They have no mind there. It's on autopilot. They're so trained and in a serene state.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you have, mind is such a powerful tool. If it is not trained, it can wreak havoc in your life.
Oh, yes.
And if you train it, you get mastery over yourself, and you can really direct it to achieve whatever you want.
Well,
so meditation really helps you in that space.
Well, it takes you right back to the question from the very beginning, If you train the mind, then you can absolutely wake up in the morning.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
If you train the mind, you can do anything. I mean, the five senses are all, it's like it's waiting to be enticed.
Yes.
You smell something nice, you're drawn towards it. You see red lipstick, you see beautiful dresses, nice shoes, the
and
next
they call
thing
out to you.
They call out to you. But you have to, if you have the discipline, then you say, no, I don't need it right now.
Right.
Otherwise, it's like the overspending and over eating, all of these things.
And it equips you to deal with your life in every aspect of life, whether it's at workplace, whether it's your personal relationships, whether it's your own health and well-being, right?
Yeah, and with that, I just wanted to give a little demonstration of the Anulom Vilom, which is alternate nostril breathing. So this is just a little suggestion that people can do. It has to do with the left and right side. So the left side is more cooling. It's the female side, feminine side. The right side is a lot more heating. So we always start, we use the ring finger and the thumb, and we always begin inhaling from the left side. So I'm just going to demonstrate that. So we close the right and inhale from the left. And as you close the left, you exhale out through the right. And then you inhale again through the right. And you exhale out through the left. And that becomes one round. So when we do this, of course, I don't want to breathe into my mic right now with all that, but when you do this, this is balancing the left and right side of your brain, and you are completely bringing in all that Agni and all of that. There's something called Shushumna, Ira, and Pingala, which is the Shushumna. If you've seen the photograph at the pharmacy where you have a pole and you see the two snakes going around, that's exactly what this is. Because the idea is that with the Shushumna is at the middle pole, and the two snakes are basically energy, representing the female and the male energy.
The solar and the lunar
exactly
energies. Yeah, and also it sort of for people who don't want to necessarily practice go into the energy field, it's bringing in your intuitive side with in sync with your logical side. So you are creative, and you're able to use your intelligence to find very creative solutions to whatever it is that you're looking for.
So Nita, do you teach meditation?
I do.
Wonderful.
And I practice meditation as well. And like I said, the three common ones that I talk about and I have practiced myself is breath awareness, chanting meditation, which is and just
great. Thank you.